Hello, everybody. Coming to you live once again from New York Comic Con. I'm here with Garl Moloney. We're going to talk about his awesome book, which is from Madcave, When the Blood Has Dried. I'm sure you've done it 100 times already today because you just came from your signing, but give everybody the elevator pitch. Let them know what the book is about.
So it's a high fantasy spaghetti western mashup about a retired adventurer, a retired sellsword who tried to leave that violent life behind, really kind of questioning what kind of she was doing with her life, you know, and whether she actually contributed anything or whether all of it was for, you know, purposes and goals that really were beyond her. Right? So she tries to retire. She retires to a small country town where she runs the local tavern, and of course, as always happens, that violent life finds her again, no matter how far she runs away. So it's about that kind of clash. It's about the pursuit of, you know, peaceful life, and whether that's ever truly possible when you have so much blood in your hands.
Yeah, and it's really a great story in terms of the emotions, and you see, you know, as you said, she tried to escape this life, and sorry. Oh yeah. Please join us.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, if you want to, I'll slide over a little bit. And if you take the mic and just hold it right here, should get both of you. Yeah, we have. Let me.
We take two.
Yeah, no worries. I'll edit it together, so it'll be fine. All right, we actually are lucky enough to have the artist Daniel Romero joining us as well. So, but to get back to what I was saying, this idea of her trying to escape that life and being in this, you know, as you said, peaceful town, but not so peaceful. One of the things I really love about the book is the relationships, because it is fantasy. So, you know, we do have these, you know, dwarves and other sorts of things. But even though it is sort of a sleepy hamlet, let's say, there's always going to be friction. There's, you know, not everybody's happy that she's there, and so there's already some sides to be taken, I suppose. So when her old life does come calling, I found it very interesting what the reaction was of the townspeople. So I'm sort of curious how you planned it out initially, the initial idea. Did you always know, hey, we're going to have you know, some townspeople inserting themselves and having opinions and that sort of thing, or did it happen a little more organically than that?
No, it was always kind of part of the story to kind of focus on the reaction of the town, and to have the town and particularly the characters in it to be a very important part of the story, and the town itself almost to have a character, because when we were developing the story, part of the influence of it was trying to give a sense of what life was like in kind of rural Irish towns, and there are these very parochial areas where everyone knows everyone and everyone has an opinion of everyone else as well. And the kind of key thing for Meagh's relationship with the town is that as an outsider, as a blow-in as she's referred to in the book, you know, she's very much welcome in that area. But there's always an asterisk to that. There's always a sort of condition to that. And she might be as welcome and treated as one of their own until things go wrong. And suddenly when things go wrong, there's suspicion there, and there's always those who will always see her, no matter how long she's there, how much good she's done to the town, as an outsider. And trying to give that sense and that kind of feel to the book. And it was funny because we were talking about it originally as being something that was very unique to rural Ireland, but the more that Daniel and I were speaking about it, Daniel said that was the exact similar kind of experience that you would have in rural Chile as well.
I take inspiration of the rural part of the south of Chile. Oh, sorry, this is my first time talking in English, so I'm an English. I'm from Chile. Hey everyone, I'm Daniel Romero. I'm an artist of When the Blood Has Dried, you can see. And continue the conversation. I think part of the rural part of the south part of the country, that part is very similar to Ireland, but that was a surprise for us. And take inspiration because the people of the south of the country is very warm. So I try to convey that in the page of the comics.
Yeah, that comes across, but like we were saying, that I think you put it great, Gary. You said, but an asterisk, right? Like, hey, you're welcome up until a point. Then if it comes down to causing friction or what have you, then you know, maybe it's you're not so welcome anymore. But one of the things that I wanted to ask you, Daniel, was in conveying that warmth. A lot of emotion in the face, a lot of, you know, body language, especially when her old life does come calling. you could almost just see the tension. So was that something that you really worked on with the body language and emotion in Fate? Like you talk about the gaffer, the mayor, like the resignation in her face when the Adventurers Guild comes calling.
I think the characters, in summary, are my family. So all the town is my family. So I try to convey that in the family. I know that's a very Ireland story, but instead it's a very Chilean story. Yeah.
So, in terms of coming on the book and designing these characters, obviously that's your family.
You're talking about the aesthetic of the art? Oh, that's very funny because I really love the art of Mickey Monjo. I don't know if you know that artist.
No,
he's a random Spanish artist that take a lot of the classic animation to make the aesthetic part. So I took a lot of influence of that part. I love a lot of weird shape. The major is very small and his son looks like a bully, and I try to exaggerate that part of the characters.
So how much did you have an idea, Gary, of what you wanted these characters to look like? When you initially brought Daniel on and said, okay, here, can you design these characters? Any idea, or just let them kind of run wild with it?
I very much know when to stay in my lane and know that, particularly when it comes to what characters look like and design, Daniel is the master when it comes to it, so I kind of stayed out of it for the most part. Like, there were some kind of things that I knew, so I knew that, say, for Meabh, I think that the hairstyle was one of the things where I was like, oh, there could be just difference between, the Meabh we see in the flashbacks in the past, that can be much shorter in the future. That was just like an idea. The main kind of thing I did to kind of help Daniel, at least in some level, with the design, is that for each of the main characters, I did like a character profile. And so it was like, yes, it was some of their background, but it was also like things that, readers would never know about them.
Yeah, Gary helped me a lot with the mood of the character.
Okay, gotcha.
But fortunately, this relationship works because I respect a lot the work Gary, and Gary respects a lot my work. So I have a lot of freedom in the creation of the characters.
So my favorite scene in the whole book is when the Adventurers Guild does come and Meabh is challenged. And she gets to choose, and she chooses archery. That moment and the
you should do, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Three. Yeah. How much fun was that to write? And then I want to know about you kind of laying it out, Daniel.
The actual archery scene.
The actual duel.
Yeah, the duel itself was that was a lot of fun. It was I think issue 3 was my favorite issue to write because there was so much in it, the lead up to the archery fight itself, and the competition. And the actual archery duel itself, it was that very much, if it wasn't paced well, it wasn't going to work, right? It had to hit beats in every page, or it could come across very, very boring. So in terms of it was one of my favorite scenes to write, and it was a lot of research in terms of what makes for a good archery scene, because we've seen it so much in films and in comics as well. The classic Robin Hood splits the arrow. So we start with that. Be like, okay, these guys are top of their field. We don't need to build up to that. That's the start, and we go from there. So everything else is ratcheted up.
Yeah, it really escalated. And what was so interesting too is Meabh has tried to leave that life behind. I wasn't sure she was going to be up to the task. So that was great to see her still, for me, that's when she really crystallized as a character. I was like, okay, she's left that life behind, but she's still a badass.
Yeah, I think it was one of the things that we do, and we spoke about it a lot, was because we have each an issue, there's the prologue or the flashback sections that are kind of thematically echoing what's going to come later. Everything you see Meabh do in that archery duel stems from that talk she has with Treylock in that prologue section. You kind of see, and particularly in the very first shot she takes, it's the exact same movements, the exact same style, that kind of calm, controlled approach, as opposed to Darius is letting his ego and his emotions drive everything. So it was about echoing that as well, and kind of showing that yes, she's still a badass, but it's no longer on Darius's terms.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's a wonderful scene. Was it a challenge for you, Daniel?
It's a pain in the ass, but the last issue was the real pain in the ass. The problem here is I need to show the action of the
The movement, yeah.
The movement, and I cannot show that in a small panel.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of creative moment trying to figure how I'm going to show that. But I think we did a very good.
Yeah, no, it was yeah. I especially like when she the way you laid it out with the birds.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He does one, and then she, again, it's like that constant escalation. She's constantly raised. Oh, you did this. I'm gonna do one better.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it is a complete story. 5 issues out in trade, everybody. But man, I would love to read more of these characters. There are those flashbacks. We know she had this, time in the Adventurers Guild. What was that like? Is there going to be more? Are we talking about maybe doing a second volume?
I mean, I think that's largely up to the readers at the end of the day. I think one of the cool things we did for the trade, so alongside the trade, we've got this 5th edition one-shot adventure that's set in the world of Innsbruck, right? So anyone who picks up the trade at the very back, there's a code they can scan, and they'll get a D&D 5th edition compatible adventure, which kind of puts them in the place of someone in Meabh's shoes, someone who's at the receiving end of the guild's ire and trying to figure that out. So that kind of expands the world and shows you different sides to it. We'd love to come back to the world and kind of do, maybe not a sequel or prequel in the traditional sense, but something else, in the world that kind of expands it, that touches on. So maybe some of the characters show up, maybe they don't. But I think that's ultimately down to readers at the end of the day. If they respond well to the trade, which we hope they do, I don't think there's any reason why we wouldn't come back. I think there's a lot of things that we can explore in this setting.
I love when the blood has tried universe, but I agree with I don't plan to continue with the same character. I want to explore the rest of the world.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to explore. It's a fantastic story, everybody. So pick up the trade so we can get more of it. Thanks so much for chatting with me, gentlemen. Do you want to let everybody know where they can follow you online, know about your work, past work that's coming up? Is there a best place?
Yeah, I mean, I'm Garl Moloney on all the major social media sites, whichever one we happen to be on a given day. And if you type in Garl Moloney, you'll find me easy enough.
Yeah, same for me. You can look for my Instagram Twitter for Daniel Romero, and that's all.
And I'll find those social media accounts for everybody, and I'll put them in the show notes. Or if you're having trouble finding either of them, just go to the show notes and give them a follow. So thanks so much, and have a great rest of the con.
Thank you very much.